Hi, Mr. Geraci. How's your family doing? I hope all is well.
Hi, Mr. Geraci. I would like to ask how your family's doing during quarantine and how you guys are dealing with this.
Well, we're doing as well as we can, spending a lot of time with each other like everybody else is. We did just get a new puppy. We had planned on that before all of this was happening. So that's the newest part of my life, playing with the puppy, getting up in the middle of the night. So we're probably doing about like as everybody else is, just getting through it, making the best of it.
Hi, Mr. Geraci. My question today is, what is it like working from home and not being able to be in school?
What is it like working from home? Well, it's definitely different. The reason that teachers go into teaching is that they want to be around students. So there's definitely a big void left. There's a lot of work that gets done on a computer under normal circumstances, but what's different when we're in school is I can do a little bit of work on the computer and then go out and be with the students at lunch or go into a classroom or be in the hallways. So all of those sorts of things aren't possible, which is really why you get into education. So, we're doing the best we can and we're getting the work done, so to speak, but social connection is really important in education, and we're missing out on that, but it'll return. It'll return. So ultimately, we'll all be okay.
Hi, Mr. Geraci. I'd like to ask you how you're staying busy during quarantine.
How am I staying busy during quarantine? Well, my two hobbies are bike riding and hiking, and there's no rules against doing either one of those because you can do them solo. So that's those are my hobbies. I've been able to continue to do those. Um, Other than that, my life is pretty much the same. Instead of going to work, I sit on my couch like I am right now, and then when the end of the day comes, I usually go for a hike or go for a bike ride, and then I spend the evening with my family, usually in the living room playing with the dogs or watching a show. Of course, we can't go out to dinner or do anything like we would have in the past, but that's my new normal.
Hi, I'm Riley Calhoun. A question I have for Mr. Geraci is, do you feel that students are learning better at home than they did at school?
No, I don't think they're learning better at home, because there is something missed when human beings can't come together. So this isn't the ideal learning situation, but there are some benefits to it. I think after this is all done, we're all going to be much more well versed in how to deliver instruction in an online environment, and that will have an impact on how teachers teach when we get back together. So there is a little bit of a silver lining. I think when we get back to school, that instruction in the school will be better than it ever was before because teachers have had the practice using technology, and that will become more a part of what you do in the regular classroom, which is a good thing because that's the direction that many colleges are going and many businesses are going. So you'll have the opportunity even more so to incorporate educational technology. But I wouldn't be being truthful if I said I thought everything was the same. You just cannot replace what happens when you put people together. So that's what's missing. Sure, reading a story and answering questions and doing math problems, that can all be quite similar, but there is something missed when human beings cannot associate and gather together.
Tracy, my question for you is, do you have any advice for students that are struggling with online classes?
Advice, if you're struggling with your online class, I do have advice. The first thing you should do is email your teacher. Most of the time, by doing that, whatever struggles that you have will be taken care of. if that doesn't work, the next steps would be to contact your counselor and then contact me or Mr. Miller. And we have had a handful of students that felt that they needed to go that far, but usually if they're struggling, if they just reach out to their teacher, their concern is taken care of. And in the handful of instances that have come to me, we've been able to come up with a solution that is workable for the students and the families.
My question for Mr. Geraci is, how are we planning on moving forward with student activities like prom and that kind of thing, or are we just kind of playing it by ear?
Well, I think a general answer to that question, and we'll use graduation as an example, is we're really planning for two things. We're planning on graduation as if it was going to be at Roberts, and we are also thinking about what we can do if we're not able to go to Roberts. So much of that depends on Governor Cuomo's next decision about social distancing. So we're really having to plan two different events at the same time to be ready for what may or may not happen with the opening back up of our economy and our educational system. Some of that discussion is around, do we take the original Saturday, June 5th date of graduation and push it back a little bit later in June or July? Is that the best way to go? Because I think everybody would prefer to do graduation at Roberts Wesleyan as opposed to something different. So we're trying to keep all alternatives open. Graduation will happen. It'll either be at Roberts or there will be something to substitute for it. We will get more definite about that very soon because we know that parents and families need time to plan. That sort of thinking can be applied to the prom and ball as well. We would love to have it as planned. We know we can't have it in May, so we've looked into, can we have it in June? If you go too far into the summer, I'm not so sure students would support that. So our first goal would be to have it maybe a little bit later, but if we can't have it a little bit later in the current venue, what can we do in place of it? So we've had thinking around everything related to students, senior picnic, senior pace party, all along the same kind of way of thinking.
Mr. Geraci, what are you going to do for your seniors?
Are you asking me this question while you're driving a car, Michelle? Okay, what are we going to do for seniors? So I have met with your senior class advisors, Mrs. Grenier and Mrs. Hanson, along with the House deans, and we're going to be including students in that discussion within the next couple of days. So for seniors, I know that the parents that have arranged the PACE party have an alternative way to do that. We are thinking of a different way to do a senior picnic in the summer. We are, again, thinking of different ways to make sure that your senior ball happens, make sure that your graduation happens. Again, trying to figure out ways that we can get together and still respect the social distancing rules that are there. So we have had those meetings with the adults in the building. The next step is to involve seniors. That's going to happen very, very shortly. Mrs. Hanson just reached out to me today to ask when are we going to do that. And then we also want to get some parent input, especially on things like graduation.
Hi, Mr. Geraci. My question for you is, do you have any encouraging words or advice for our seniors?
Yeah, seniors, encouraging words. We don't have any control over this situation. So stressing about it and thinking about it all the time isn't really going to serve any purpose, although it's hard not to. All you can do is focus in on the current situation and make the best of it. And at the end of the day, we're living in a different world, but we will also grow in ways that we really didn't anticipate because of all this. So I like to look at everything as an opportunity. Everything is an opportunity to get better, and everything is an opportunity really to be great. So given the situation, make the best of it. How can you make it into something where your contribution is great.
Tracy, my question for you is, do you think we have a good shot at having school this year, or do you think we'll have to push everything over to next year?
Yeah, are we going to come back to school this year? At this point, it's just about May 1st. I really don't think so. Based upon what I've seen in the models and the projections, I think there's some chance that schools that finish later, towards the end of June, might come back for a week or two. But I really don't know that that's a possibility for Kearney. And if it is, it would probably only be for a week or so. And really, if we had that opportunity, I'd jump all over it and take it, even if it only was a week, just to get people back together and put some closure on what we've been through. But to be honest, I really doubt we'll be back this year. And if we are, it'll be for a very short duration of time. We're going to come out of this better than ever. Keep in mind the mission of Bishop Kearney, okay? To give back to the community, to live and grow spiritually, academically, to help those that are in need. So that mission that we have at Kearney, if you think about it, really can help us get through this difficult time.